Okay, are we ready?
I think we're ready.
All right.
It's the Halloween episode.
Ooh.
Woohoo.
Spooky.
We're ringing in Halloween.
I like it.
Healthcare horrors. Murder.
Here we go. It's time for another episode of Healthcare Horrors, the extra spooky episode because Halloween is right around the corner. I am Ashley Boyce, a brand specialist at Alice.
I am Alicia Carosella, a training and development specialist.
I'm Dolan on the knobs, and we have a guest this time.
A returning guest.
Returning guest.
Thanks
for
having me back.
Yeah.
Erica Bradford, recruiter.
Erica, tell us a little about yourself. How is your fall going? How was your summer? How was life? You just moved?
Yeah,
Things
that was
are crazy.
busy. I don't suggest moving right before school starts if you have kids. It was a lot.
A lot to take in.
But now we're settled in, and I love the fall. It's my favorite season, so happy.
Good. You're going to go to the pumpkin patch?
Every year. Pumpkins, apples. We
Everything.
haven't gone down to Nebraska City yet for the...
The
They always have
Applejack Fest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's one of
I
my
love
favorite
that.
activities.
I think
That's
it's
cool.
done.
Well, they
It's
stretched
usually-
it out for a couple weeks this year for some reason.
It started the weekend of the 16th, so it might be done.
I
in
like that you
September.
know. It's all right. There's still
I do know
apples.
because I want to take Forrest, and it wasn't my weekend, so I didn't get to take him.
You
So I'm
can
bitter
still
about it.
go, even if it's off week. It's
I know,
still a
and we've
fun
been
place
down to
go.
Nebraska City. It's really cool if you've never been down there.
Yeah, I do enjoy going down there. And there's just something different about picking an apple from the tree, wiping it off, and
And
just eating it.
right then and there.
Yeah. It's
Best
so
apple ever.
crispy. Yeah, it tastes so good.
Like in the sunshine, even in the rain. Just being outside.
Which today it is a rainy, stormy, spooky day.
We needed hot apple cider.
Ooh.
That would have been good.
You know, I think there is some apple cider in the refrigerator. I could go get some. We could have used that. I forgot
didn't
that.
know.
I think there's still some in there.
Yeah, because
Also
what are you
look-
guys drinking?
We have some caramel vodka and sour apple pucker that's been sitting in the studio from previous Tipsy Recruiters. And it's pretty good combined
It is.
with some spiced apple sparkling water if you want just a little bit of bubbly.
Yeah, it's really good.
I like it. It's like those suckers.
Yeah,
It does taste exactly like
tastes
a sucker.
exactly like the suckers. Highly recommend.
Alrighty.
So last time on the podcast, we talked about trans Allegheny. Allegheny
Asylum.
and we had Stacy
Pushol.
on there with us. So thank you for helping me with the
I got you.
pronunciation. Yeah. She used to be a crime lab tech. Is that the right? That's not the right word.
I don't
Crime
know
lab.
exactly, but she used to work in the crime lab.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. She definitely
I had
had some
forgotten
crazy
about
stories.
that.
Yeah.
She was great.
Check out that episode. And today we're going to England and we're talking about Whittingham Hospital. Dun,
Yes.
dun, dun.
And Erica, if you have anything, feel free to interject between Ashley and I. We'll all just kind of play off each other. So
Yeah, here we
All
go.
right. Okay, Whittingham Hospital, located in Whittingham, Lancashire, England. Do you say Lancashire, Lancashire?
Lancashire? That's how I
I
would
feel like
just
it's a
say it.
shire.
Like the hobbits?
Yeah.
Are there hobbits in the Shire?
Lancashire.
I feel like, yeah, Lancashire.
Lancashire? That's what
think.
you would say?
Yeah, but
Well, hopefully I
doesn't
don't
make
have
it
to
right.
say it again.
Hopefully they don't get mad at us if we mispronounce it.
So Whittingham opened April 1st, 1873. It was the fourth Lancashire County Asylum and grew to be the largest mental hospital in Britain. So in 1866, it was determined that extra accommodation was urgently needed due to the 3 already standing asylums being at capacity. And Ashley is going to tell us those names.
Yes, we have Prestwich, Rainhill, and Lancaster Asylum. And those were all officially deemed full in 1869.
Man, when you think about it, don't you think if you need a fourth
I'm
asylum,
saying,
or like
when
maybe
do
there's
we
a big
never
societal
think?
issue.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when do we not get to the point where we're like, maybe there's a bigger problem other than just opening another building?
Yeah,
like-
maybe all of these people really aren't mentally ill and we should reconvene. We should figure it out.
So I guess they didn't think about that. And if they
No.
did, they didn't say it out loud. So building for this fourth facility began in 1869. It was intended to be for pauper lunatics. And pauper lunatics, 100 years ago, the only way most of the population could access psychiatric treatment was by certification, air quotes, and admission to a local authority lunatic asylum under the Lunacy Act of 1890 of England and Wales. The act automatically designated these asylum patients by the stigmatizing term pauper lunatic. If you were wealthy, however, you could avoid this label and seek outpatient consultation or admission to a private institution.
What did you say pauper meant initially?
So I think it being a pauper is like, okay, I'm not like a poor person,
no,
maybe.
for sure.
PAUP?
Yeah, pauper.
Yeah, like
Okay.
lower class.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Okay. I'm glad you looked up.
It's a very poor person, actually.
Okay. I'm
That's
glad you looked
the-
up the meaning of the pauper
Yeah.
lunatic or whatever
Yeah.
the phrase was.
So
Yeah.
basically, then you would qualify to go to an asylum if you had that.
Yeah.
Designation.
Yes. Yep. That was
Rough.
Yeah. They had to certify you with that designation. So Whittingham was designed by architect Henry Littler of Manchester. Littler was the architect to the Lancashire Asylums Board. And this facility in particular was built out of red brick, which was made from the clay that they actually dug up on site.
Which is kind of cool. You're using the land that you're building it on to create the building.
I know the definition of work smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
The buildings followed a plan of multiple quadrangles with interconnecting corridors radiating from a long axial corridor section. So this place is big.
Well, and
Yeah.
it had its own farm initially. It was like its own village from what I saw, which is kind of cool.
It had its own railway. Now
It
I can
did.
say it
I saw
actually
that
makes
too.
sense. In the last episode, I was talking about the railway, and I was like, nope, I
That's
got
a
them
different-
confused.
That's a different place. Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll talk about that. So, 115 patients had been admitted to the hospital prior to its actual opening in 1873, and many of those patients helped with the building work. And that's similar to the last episode, where prison laborers also helped build the facility. So, the large complex, which is known to be St. Luke's Division, was completed in June 1875. It had an initial capacity of 1,100 inmates, and I like to call them patients. I don't like that it calls them inmates.
Yeah.
It included an Anglican church.
You
Like-
say Anglican?
Anglican?
I say Angelican. Is that weird?
There's no E.
There's no E.
In the version I saw, there was.
Anglican.
No, okay.
Have you ever heard of
keep going.
Anglo-Saxons? Okay.
Well, yeah, but I
It's the
swear.
Anglican church because they came from England.
Yeah.
So Anglican.
I thought they could
English.
say it both ways, but I could.
you can say it however you want.
I'm kind of bad at pronouncing things sometimes. But hold on, keep going.
It's like a fun thing, like
It is.
reoccurring
It's
thing in this podcast.
been happening since day one. And I think the first word was coronary.
Yeah,
Coronary.
coronary. I just got so okay. No, you are. I don't know why I
No, that's okay.
thought it
Sounds
could also be
prettier that way,
pronounced
though.
Angelican.
I mean, that
Because
sounds
angels. So it also had a recreation hall and a large farm estate. Before long, it also had its own what, Ashley?
Railway.
Railway.
Ew. For all of your resources.
Telephone exchange, post office, reservoirs, gasworks, brewery, orchestra, brass band, ballroom, and butcher shop.
They like to party at this asylum, apparently.
So
They-
the question is, did
Woohoo.
the inmates or patients get to participate in any of those fun
I
things, or
hope
was it
so.
just for the workers?
I don't
Wow.
know.
That's a good
What-
question.
It sounds awesome.
I think it sounds like they're trying to establish their own cult.
Yes.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Probably not, but I don't know.
I
Why
have-
do you need all of that stuff?
Because they all have to live there and they want to live like high society. They probably can't leave.
Yeah. Even the workers, yeah,
Yeah.
they probably all
Probably
just live there. Fair enough. So they wanted alcohol. I get it.
Wonder if they brought their families with them.
I hope
the
not.
workers.
Well, yeah, if you had a family, like if you had a kid and a spouse, probably. Interesting.
About the railway. It was a 2-mile private branch to Grimsar, built in 1887 to transport coal and other goods. It also provided free transport for staff and passengers. It eventually, I assume they mean patients, it eventually closed in on the 30th of June, 1957.
Okay.
Now we talked about the railway.
So there's so many details.
Got that out of the way.
Great.
I just wanted to make it important. So in 1878, a new annex known as St. John's Division was built on 68 acres of land to the north of the site. The annex was completed in 1880 and could accommodate 700 patients, and by the special agreement of the Postmaster General, the hospital's own dedicated post office. The hospital contributed £15,000 toward Fulwood Urban District Council's scheme to extract water from Beacon Fell in exchange for 90,000 gallons of water per day to be supplied free of charge to the hospital. This was achieved under the Fulwood and Whittingham Water Act of 1882. In 1884, a sanatorium was established on the grounds for patients with infectious diseases. So now you've got mental health patients and people probably with tuberculosis.
This really is its own little town.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a whole community. In 1892, works began for the grounds to be illuminated by electric lamps.
Yeah, so they even had like street lamps everywhere.
Yep, and in 1900, an annex called Cameron House was opened to the northwest of the main building, joined in 1912 by a third annex, later to become known as St. Margaret's Division. By 1915, the number of inmates, patients, I'm going to scratch that out, was recorded as 2,820, more than double the asylum's original capacity. So,
When I first saw that they were building the facility to house 1,100 inmates, I'm like, there's going to be at least 3,000. I'm just going to guess.
yep, and
It
you're pretty
ends up
close.
that way, right? They, like we talked about, they start with these great intentions. It's its own place, and then it turns into this overcrowded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Horrible.
I wonder if anyone from the from the other 3 facilities, I wonder if they tried like transferring them to this facility or
Oh, maybe.
Oh, to like alleviate
Yeah.
some of their population.
yeah, I wonder. I don't know. I didn't like see anything about transferring patients, but maybe.
In 1918, the new West Annex was commandeered for the treatment of war casualties in World War I. Patients who died during treatment were buried in the institution's private cemetery at the northern edge of the site. The hospital was returned to civilian use following that year, following the cessation of the hostilities. So in between the wars, World War I and World War II, the National Asylum Workers Union organized a strike of 429 employees at the hospital in 1918. In 1923, the name Whittingham Asylum was dropped in favor of Whittingham Mental Hospital, a change later reinforced in law by the Mental Treatment Act of 1930. In 1929, the hospital commissioners noted that an open-door principle was practiced on a number of wards, and the 1930 Act later resulted in the admission of the first voluntary patients. By 1939, the number of patients was 3,533,
There it is.
with a staff of 548, making it the largest mental hospital in Great Britain.
So I have a question.
Yes.
If that's the start of the voluntary patients, then who was deciding
the
that
men.
all of these people needed to be pauper?
So what happened was that if you were a man and a woman was doing something you didn't like, or you just wanted to be rid of her, or you wanted her house, or you wanted your mistress, or she said something annoying, you could just drop her off.
Yep.
At least that's how it was going in the
That's
U.S.
disgusting.
I don't know
But
about
no,
England,
we've
but
heard
probably.
that. We've heard. I
Same
think I
thing.
feel like we've heard that before. In a lot of these, because we did a bunch of these last year too, and I just feel like that's the reoccurring theme. Is it's
Yeah.
always like you can just drop people off, but
Yeah. Or if it's children that are acting out, just anyone can be dropped off and admitted.
Yep.
But
And
they
then-
had to be certified first. So, I mean, just think about I feel like
I'm
there's a
gonna
story
guess
there.
that probably went out the window
Probably
to a
not
degree.
not in the 1800s,
Yeah.
early 1900s. Yeah.
But basically, like, I don't know, some people, like in the United States, they could get dropped off for asthma or being egotistical or any number
different
of things.
political views.
Basically,
stomachache.
if you were unruly or disruptive in any way.
So it's a good
qualify.
thing I've been alive in the century I've been living.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're lucky that it's 2023, Erica.
I am. You know me. I'm real lucky.
No, same. So at the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939, wards 31 to 36 in the West Annex were again commandeered by the military, and mental patients were relocated to other hospitals in the area. The commandeered wards were renamed the Whittingham Emergency Hospital and treated casualties of war, both military and civilian, the first being evacuees from Dunkirk. Following the end of the conflict, the wards were returned to civilian use in 1946. So they're just coming in and taking over and saying, see ya, find a new home.
Yeah, and even with all the wars going on, I imagine like living conditions at the facility have definitely started.
deteriorate.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
After the war, in 1948, the hospital became part of a newly formed National Health Service and renamed Whittingham Hospital. In the same year, it acquired Ribchester Hospital, originally a workhouse. While working at the hospital during the 1950s, Dr. C.S. Parker and Mr. Charles Breakall produced an early electroencephalograph
Good job.
EEG machine I just had to slow down, using war surplus material purchased for like £2 and conducted pioneering experiments in the field of encephalography and mental illness using patients there. An article was published in the Lancet describing these experiments, and considerable interest was said to have been expressed by the American Department for Space Medicine at the time. Space medicine, not sure what that's got to do with anything, but this
Medicine from Mars.
exactly, duh. This facility pioneered the use of EEGs. And an EEG is a test that measures the electrical activity in the brain using small metal discs attached to the scalp. Brain cells communicate via electrical impulses and are active all the time, even during sleep.
And what year was that?
This was, oh my gosh, I gotta scroll back up.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. This was the 1950s.
So that was when they were busy shocking everybody on the
Yeah.
tables, too.
Electroshock therapy and lobotomy is like around this time where the thing. Wait, so the thing you were just talking about, like metal discs in the brain?
On the
Or
brain, so
on
the
your
electrodes,
scalp.
you attach them to your
Okay.
scalp.
I feel like that's the first time I've heard of that. I wonder if that was happening in the U.S. or if that was just something over in the U.K.
I think it was in the U.S. also. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So an EEG is one of the main diagnostic tests for epilepsy. It also can help diagnose other things such as, sorry, I went all the way down, just other brain disorders. So fun fact, not really fun, but a fact, 1965 to 1968, English rock musician Kevin Coyne worked at the hospital as a social therapist and a psychiatric nurse, and it was while he was at Whittingham that his son Robert was born. His 1972 album, Case History, is what inspired his work.
I don't know who that is.
I don't either, but he was popular then.
Does he sound familiar to you, Dolan?
Nope.
That's Kevin Coyne. It's Coyne.
Oh, that's a good British spelling for that last name. I like it.
Yep. So on July 18th, 1967, the Student Nurses Association held a meeting with the senior nursing tutor submitting serious complaints of cruelty, ill treatment, and fraud in the hospital. The head male nurse then called a meeting of all students in which the students were threatened with actions for libel and slander. Several further complaints were suppressed until the following year when the hospital management committee finally intervened and announced an inquiry into allegations of corruption and abuse. The inquiry divided the allegations into three specific categories: care of patients, organization of services, and financial control. The following complaints were heard: that patients had been left untreated, that some patients had been given only bread and jam to eat or had been given food mixed up and served as slaps, that some patients had been locked outside regardless of weather conditions or in washrooms or cupboards, that in one ward students had witnessed patients being dragged about by their hair, that on Ward 3 a male patient were given the wet towel treatment, which is involved twisting a cold wet towel or bedsheet around a patient's neck until the patient loses consciousness.
That is so terrible. Just
I don't understand how you can call
barbaric.
that treatment.
Yeah. And what else were we talking about? Like, what other weird...
Methylated spirits. So they
Yeah.
set people on fire.
Yeah.
They also tied people up to like chairs and things and just left them for days without being fed or being cared for.
Yep.
Electric shock therapy, all kinds of... They overdosed people with sedatives and left them to die.
I can't imagine just you're bored, you're going to play a prank, and you're going to put menthol, whatever it's called.
Methylated spirits. It's basically like gasoline.
Yeah, on someone's shoes or in someone's pocket or whatever, and like set it on fire just for...
Seems like maybe those workers should have been the patients.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, that's sick.
That's
Yeah.
a quote.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And
that's-
so patients were seen to have been punched, locked in the storeroom, obviously the one where they're set on fire. It was also reported that some wards were infested with vermin and others were too cold or too hot or too damp. In addition, it was found that there was a culture of petty theft and serious fraud and embezzlement in the admin offices. So 2 male nurses were convicted of theft in a separate incident outside of this embezzlement business, where another nurse was jailed for manslaughter after an elderly patient he had assaulted later died. And 2 other nurses were charged with various crimes but acquitted.
The thing I thought was interesting was that they were nursing students, right? Who came in and were like, wait a second, something's wrong here. This shouldn't happen. And
Yeah.
I feel like...
So all the nurses that were there, how did they get their... Or they probably didn't have their certification or anything to actually be there.
Well, I think I read, too, that the hospital itself was kind of holding their employment, like they were holding them hostage, right? Like if they were whistleblowers themselves, then they were threatening them. So if you think about the time period and you need to be able to support your family, and I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying when your employer is holding that much power over you.
And if your family lives there, I don't know. Don't set your patients on fire, though.
No,
Agreed.
it's never okay.
I think we can all agree on that. So during the 1970s and 1980s, new drugs and therapies were introduced to treat people suffering from mental illnesses, so long-stay patients were returned to the community or dispersed to smaller units around Preston. The hospital closed in 1995, and the site subsequently became known as Guild Park. And Ashley, you've got some stuff on the Guild Lodge?
A little bit. I don't know, why did it officially close, though? Like, it just kind of...
Is it funding?
It honestly, I found no information.
I couldn't really find anything
Probably,
there
I
either.
mean, other than like they're just saying like new drugs and new therapies came about, so maybe we just don't need asylums anymore. 1970s and 1980s, it was kind of going out of style. So
But this place was open for a long time. Like
Very long time.
It didn't close till 1995 and opened 1873.
yeah, it doesn't have like an official.
It's insane.
Well, and I
listing.
think, too, if you just think about in America, though, it's out of style to have a place to house people. But then if you walk on a busy street in a busy city, we're not taking care of people any better. Taking care of them worse. So I don't know.
There's just...
Obviously not good to set people on fire, but also perhaps having a place where people can go and be taken care of and receive treatment is not a terrible thing.
Yeah.
I think maybe they just needed to start over.
Yeah.
They needed
Maybe.
to.
Restart.
Yeah. In 1999, some buildings were built on the same property and open to secure some mental health care services for a small amount of patients. So once the facility did close, the property was called Guild Park, and those newer establishments were called Guild Lodge. But I don't have too much information on there. It sounds like a lot of the facility ended up just getting demolished.
It did.
Which it was a pretty cool building, spooky looking, of course.
Yeah, I think they were planning to build 650 new homes on the site and convert a lot of the hospital buildings into apartments, which we did one last year.
With
Was that the one
me.
that we did with
Yes,
you?
yeah.
That was converted to apartments.
Those apartments were
Nice
what
as
was
heck.
the facility?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
remember.
It was in Massachusetts, wasn't it?
It was a
not
gorgeous
Salem,
property.
but close.
It wasn't Rolling Hills. It wasn't Waverly. It wasn't Penhurst.
I don't remember what
maybe.
they're called.
Do any of those sound
Hold on.
familiar?
I remember
did
the
you say the first
pictures
one?
though.
Okay,
Waverly.
hold on.
No, Waverly Hills Sanitarium.
Penhurst, Rolling Hills, Danvers.
Yeah, Danvers.
That one.
It was Danvers.
Danvers.
Those apartments look nice.
Yeah. But also, I'm not sure I want to live on that land. If
Yeah.
all of that is happening to people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
For sure.
Well, so most of the buildings are demolished. The demolition was completed by 2016. In April 2021, Preston Council approved urgent repair work to St. John's Church to maintain the fabric of the building. So from what I understand, that's really the only building still
Remaining.
standing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some hauntings.
Yeah. Let's get into the hauntings and then like what's going
Do you
on
want
in
to start
the
with the
area present day.
hauntings?
How about
I've been
the lady
talking a
in the
long
blue?
time.
Let's
Okay, you
talk
can
about
start
the
with
lady
her.
in the
Go
blue.
for it.
So you
Okay.
probably have more details than I do, so you
Okay.
can jump in. But one of the patients, it seems, died there, and they buried her on site. And then she was said to rise again and haunt the facility in the clock tower, I think is where they said that she was most often. And that was supposed to be a symbol of like the passing of time and like keeping people well.
Yep. So the blue lady, she's just a young woman, and her suffering was so great that even the staff couldn't save her. She died alone in a dimly lit ward. She was laid to rest in a blue dress. Visitors to the hospital soon after that began reporting sightings of a ghostly figure in a blue dress, and some claimed to have heard her voice echoing through the halls, while others reported feeling a cold breeze as she passed by. And like Erica said, haunting the hospital's clock tower. And visitors are left with a feeling of lingering dread and fear.
I mean, wouldn't you be left with that feeling anyway? Let's be honest.
I mean, but especially if you caught the blue lady.
Well, especially if she caught you. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. But I think if I walked anywhere near that place, I would feel some dread.
But it sounds like she wasn't there to harm anyone. She was
No, she was sad and suffering, I think.
Yeah.
And when she died, that's just how she stayed.
Mm-hmm.
So with the complaints, obviously, of mistreatment and all of that, and people being locked alone in small rooms, and the damp towel treatment, all of that, it's no surprise that this place is infested with hauntings. Some other hauntings are a ghostly nurse pushing a cart through the corridors and screaming. Another ghostly nurse, a young woman who worked at the hospital who was known for her kind and caring demeanor toward the patients. She was accused of stealing medicine from the hospital and was fired from her job. She was distraught and humiliated, and it was said that she took her own life. And visitors report seeing her and feeling a chill and hearing footsteps. And there's a boy ghost. There's always a kid ghost. So it's a young boy crying out for help and searching for a way to escape. No one knows how he really died, but it's suspected that he was either subject to experimentation or that he died alone of illness in a hospital bed. Visitors of the children's ward report a sense of unease and sadness. He's been seen in a hospital gown and heard crying. So sad.
It makes you wonder for the nurse if they were just trying to discredit her because she was known to be so nice, and maybe she didn't actually do any of the things, and they just
Maybe.
kind of like set her up to ruin her life.
No. Well, and then the boy, was he born there? Did a parent drop him off? Because in the last episode, we were talking about kids out of wedlock, just kind of being taken to these places too. and forgotten about. It's sad.
Erica, has anything really creepy happened to you?
The thing that creeped me out was the whole burning of the people, because when I was a kid, I had a very near-death experience where our motorhome blew up.
Oh my gosh.
And
Erica.
my dad was, like, we were both, well, my whole family was in it, and my dad was lighting the stove, and I was in the family room with him.
Oh my gosh.
And the first match blew out, and I ran to the back bedroom and shut the door, and all the windows exploded while we were in it because there was so much gas. And so for me, listening to and watching the videos and just reading about how they were setting people on fire just made me think of that. So that is probably going to haunt me for months, because I was just thinking about how, I don't know. I mean, I think drowning in fire, right? Those are like the worst possible ways to go.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was the part that kind of hit me.
Wow.
Dang, Erica.
Sorry.
Now you have to tell us something positive.
Okay.
What are you going to be for Halloween?
Ooh, yeah. So I think our whole family and my daughter's friends were all going to be people from Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, that's
cool.
fun. Are you guys
That'll
going to
be
like go
super cool.
group trick-or-treating?
Yeah, we're going to go group trick-or-treating.
That's really cool.
Who are you going to be? Do you know?
Yeah, I think that my daughter's going to be the Queen of Hearts.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to be either the White Queen or the White Rabbit. We haven't
Okay.
decided yet. Depends what her little friends want to do, so
Yeah.
that I can kind of arrange.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
They could all just be playing cards, following the queen around. I
Right?
think that would work. But you have to have...
Or like the Mad Hatter. Somebody
Yeah.
should be the
Oh,
Mad
yeah.
Hatter. I feel like.
Absolutely.
we should probably have an Alice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think her friend Alice is going to be
Oh,
Alice.
perfect.
Oh, perfect. Awesome.
Cool. Well, that'll be adorable. I want to see pictures.
I will bring them for sure.
Oh, I love that.
I love holidays.
It seems like more people are starting to do these group costumes
I
with
think
their
that's
kids and
awesome.
stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to have a costume contest here?
I don't know.
That was so fun.
Stacy Pashol and her kids were going to be rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Isn't that so
cute.
sweet?
I'm not clever enough for that. I'm
She
more
said
of
it was
like the
basic.
Amazon mom.
She said it was
There's
basic.
probably a rock,
I'm like,
paper,
it's not
scissors
basic.
Probably.
on Amazon. There's probably one.
But, like,
if not,
what a
there's got to be
fun
like a
idea.
rock and a,
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
that's a great
That's
idea.
super cute though.
That's cute.
Ashley's going to be something scary at her haunted house.
Yes, she's always scary.
I still just...
The new
no idea.
the picture you just posted on Facebook of when you were dressed up for it.
Terrifying,
Terrifying.
Ashley.
That was from last year.
Oh,
but
it
thank
was?
you. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like, I can't even recognize.
I didn't, not at all.
That doesn't even look like Ashley. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I won't
Yeah.
even go to a haunted house. You guys.
I'm
Okay,
with you.
I'm
I
way
won't.
too creeped
When
out.
we hop off
without-
this, Ashley's going to have to show you that picture because, it's scary.
It was fun.
Everything. How did you get? Are those
The
like
teeth?
Yeah, the teeth.
There's a few different teeth companies, but they're called dental distortions.
Okay.
And so you have like mold that you heat up and then you fit it to your teeth so the teeth stay in your mouth really well. And having gross teeth just adds so much to the costume.
It
Yeah.
really
So
does.
true.
Yeah, when you have the contacts and then the teeth, and then some of the makeup artists at the haunted house get like mouthwash and food coloring, and then you just dump that in your mouth and you let it all just like ooze out of your
Oh my
mouth, you
gosh.
know? So it just like
Oh,
looks
that's smart.
disgusting. Yeah.
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 Oh my gosh. Yeah, wait till she shows it to you.
Oh, I can't wait.
I was gonna say because I mean the teeth looked so real, and I thought that maybe you like painted
On her
your-
face and like her lips were covered or something.
Like how did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
They do have some stuff you can like paint your teeth, but yeah, it's just it makes such a big difference having some nasty
are you going to
chompers.
take Rico trick-or-treating or is he too cool for that?
Actually, he's going with all of his friends. So this
Of
is what's
course.
happening. Rico's going with
They're
all
going
of
to
his
TP someone's
friends.
house.
They're gonna be the Teletubbies.
No way.
That's what
creepy.
That's what they want
That
to
is
do.
creepy.
And so they're gonna go around the neighborhood, and then one of his friends' parents, they do like a Halloween thing in their backyard, where all the parents hang out and eat and drink and whatever.
That's cool.
So the kids will just go off and trick or treat in our neighborhood, and then I'll probably be hanging out with the parents, and then my wife's actually got a wedding that night. So
Oh wow,
Ooh,
Yeah.
on Halloween.
on Halloween.
that's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is the bride wearing black instead of white?
I don't know. So I'm in a wedding on Friday the 13th coming
Hey.
up,
This episode comes out after that.
like right after. Okay, so I was just in a wedding.
There you go.
Hey, we record beforehand. No. So they're doing the black dress and everything on Friday the 13th,
That's
and
cool.
it's spooky and whatever. But I don't know about Sam's cousin. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd
Get back
assume
to us.
Yeah.
Report back.
we'll do.
Okay.
Do you know what Forrest
Awesome.
wants to be for Halloween?
Spider-Man.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, he's got a
You sound
pretty
kind of
sick.
disappointed.
No.
Is it cool?
Yeah,
Was
it is.
he Spider-Man before?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, he just. I don't know. It's fine.
Be a little
I feel like there's a
Spider-Man.
story there that she doesn't want to share.
No,
What-
I don't know. Like, I just I'm not gonna be like MJ with him or anything. I'm just gonna be like a lame mom. I'm just gonna wear a sweatshirt that says "Mom."
I'm trying to
No.
think
Spider-Man's
of,
mom.
trying to think of who you could be.
I don't know.
What
Aunt May.
what's been your favorite costume
when he
that you've ever
was-
done?
Well, for Forrest or
Both. Okay.
when he was Bigfoot last year, I think no one can top that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
He was like, I'll show you.
a little big
Insanity.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Love
no, I
that.
think just nothing tops that. And so like Spider-Man's cool, but like Bigfoot,
Bigfoot?
was
Not many
that was
kids
the
want to be
ticket.
Bigfoot either, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's because I keep taking him to the mountains and I keep having him look for Bigfoot every time we go.
Oh,
It's
So now he's
intentional.
obsessed. So now he's obsessed.
That's cool.
nice.
Yeah. So.
What about you, Ashley?
Favorite costume? I mean, I probably talked about it last year, but the Corpse Bride was definitely a lot of fun. Like, I went thrifting for, like, I made this costume. I didn't just go buy it. So I went to, like, different thrift stores and stuff and looked at wedding dresses and found one that fit me well enough. And I had an airbrush, so I, like, put, some of the blue trim on there and then, like, some of the, like, little curly designs on it and stuff. And the train of the dress was really long, so I cut the train off to make my veil and like got flowers and all that stuff, and then sprayed my hair blue when my hair was really long, and then like I made tights because one of her legs is just bone. So I had black tights on, and on one of the legs, like I had to slit the wedding dress so my leg could be shown, and I painted a bone on the tights, and then on my other arm blacked out and painted a bone on it, and then like my
Golly.
chest, my other
That's
arm,
cool.
my face,
That's
like
super
made
cool.
blue. It took like 4 or 5 hours to get ready,
Yeah.
but I've won a few costume contests with it, so
There
That's
you go.
cool. Erica?
pretty fun.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, that's really hard to follow up. So this is going to sound so lame.
It took
but
a while.
my favorite one was when I was a football referee.
Ooh, that would be fun. Were
That's
you just
cool.
like blowing a whistle at everyone?
I had a whistle and I took like like a bean bag and wrapped it in a
For the
yellow,
flag?
yeah, in a yellow like bandana, and I put like a rubber band around it, and then I would throw the flag all night, and I thought it was super fun. I was like
Actually-
20, and I was cool.
No, that actually is fun.
Somebody spills a drink, throw a
Yep.
flag.
Nice.
That's perfect.
We had
that's
a
pretty
big
cool.
party at my house, and it was super fun. But yeah,
Aw.
that was my favorite. How about you?
I don't know. This one's hard. I think that I've always been like a Nintendo fan, like Mario, Luigi, and all that. So I was Wario with some of my friends last year. So that was cool. That's probably my favorite one. Yeah.
That's cool.
I love what you and Sam did though with
Oh yeah, Dorothy.
the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah, that
Sam
was
and
cute.
I, we for just this Halloween
work.
party, yeah, for work, yeah. We did Dorothy, and then she was the tornado.
Oh,
And then-
Dolan
So
was
Dolan was
Dorothy.
Dorothy.
Yeah, I was
Love it.
Dorothy.
That's my favorite movie of all time. Do you know that?
No,
That's awesome.
did
So
not.
The Wizard of Oz?
we should do a Wizard of Oz themed one sometime.
That could be
Because
cool.
there's some
That
really
Wizard of Oz.
scary stuff that happened.
Ultimate
On set.
Warrior. That was
Ultimate
another one
Warrior?
I
I don't
was
think
the
I've ever
Ultimate
been
Warrior.
anything cool for Halloween in my whole life.
I doubt that's true.
Not like when I was like 8, I was supposed to be like a fairy, but I insisted on wearing black lipstick, so I don't know. I was like the dark, scary fairy. That's what my mom called me.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Scary
Yeah,
fairy.
the scary fairy.
I was the same way when I was little. I was like, this is my opportunity to wear black lipstick and look all cool.
A choker and some black lipstick.
Yeah.
I was like 7 or 8.
But then I became a teenager and a little goth kid, so it worked
Oh,
out.
it just like kept going for you.
It wasn't a phase.
It wasn't a phase, Mom. No.
Awesome.
This day and age, do we know what's going on with Whittingham?
No.
Because,
There's
yeah,
nothing,
I didn't
right?
really see anything about ghost tours or historic tours. I don't think it's apartments anymore.
No, like they
kind
just
of-
got demolished, and
Yeah.
I think that the St. John's Chapel or whatever is like the historic marker, maybe.
And was that the Anglican one or the Catholic one? Because they had both.
I don't know.
I don't know which one survived.
Mm.
We could go there. Let's all go to England and find out.
Can we even just do one spooky meet and greet?
Yes, in Salem. That's where I want to go. Is
Jasmine
Salem.
Trouvé is all about it.
I know.
Yep.
I know, but now we have to convince Monty to let me come.
Yes. We need a training person on
I know.
this
I'm like,
one.
what? Dylan, come up
No,
with like
it
an
makes-
official role for
it
me.
makes sense. It will help me teach people how to
Also,
go and recruit
also
in
for
person.
the podcast, it's important.
Yeah, save
Yeah.
for the
For the
podcast.
podcast. We
That
could
would
record
be,
there.
That would be really cool.
Absolutely.
Like,
To do a podcast up there.
yeah, you guys
Yeah,
have
that'd be cool.
recorded podcasts remote before, so
Yeah, we have.
It would be badass.
And do you see the witch festival they have every year?
Yeah.
That's when I want to go. And
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've done a meet and greet during
Yeah.
in Boston.
Salem. Yeah, Boston. That was
2 years ago?
2019, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
Dang, that was a long
before.
time
It's
ago?
before we were here.
Mm.
Yeah.
Booston.
Okay, we need to do it again.
Boosted. Yeah.
But the whole spooky team has to come.
Yes.
Those are the rules.
Okay.
I'm not gonna have the
See
haunted
what I
house
can do.
next year, so I'm available. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Mhm.
All right.
We have a lot of travel nurses in that area.
We do.
It would
do.
make sense.
Mhm.
It would have to be early October though, because late October
Too cold.
it just gets too
Crowded.
crazy in Salem if
Mhm.
we actually go
Yeah.
into Salem. So too many people.
See,
and
we're
then
plotting.
November 1st is like ghost town, dead. There's just no one there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Fair.
All right.
All right. Well, everyone have a happy, amazing Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Safe Halloween, everyone.
Yeah.
And if you need a recruiter, hit Erica up.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help
Yeah,
you.
hit
Yeah.
up Erica
I'm
Bradford.
not even spooky.
You can find her on Atlas's website.
Boom.
Murder. Thank you for listening to Healthcare Horrors, brought to you by Atlas MedStaff. Just a reminder, we are not healthcare professionals. We are just fans of true crime, talking about some of history's darkest moments in healthcare. Stay tuned, stay healthy, and stay safe.
Murder.